And this should work. If anybody can see us, please let us know. Because are we aware that we're live? Are we? Let's have a look. Hello, gents. Desperation Pinocchio flying in. Mean Machine above him. Yo, lads. Benjamin McCabe. Yes, it's on. Matt Mask, we are live, mother fluffer. For those of you out there, guys, we got Matt Mask in the house. Yes, that's it. This is the third time we've been live. And for all you Wild Horse fans, it is on, mate. I've had questions coming through. We're going to look down here in a minute when these guys start firing some in. I've had a couple of questions. I love you.
So only you can see the questions. I can't see the questions.
Dude, I had a couple come in on email, right? Now, this is my third live show. I am shit at live shows. I'm pretty shit technically, actually, all round. But I'm going to say that up to now, nobody's got questions as good as yours. You've got 2 questions from women, Matt. I never had that before. That's good.
From what?
From girls, mate. You've got female fans sending you messages. How good is that?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Shall we start with one of them?
Yeah, let's go. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, let's. I'm just going to see how many people we've got in. Let's have a look how many people we got in here, because I'm shit at seeing how many people we've got in. I think we've probably got about 40 people in. We'll let a couple of people join. We'll just talk bollocks for a minute, and then we'll crack it on. And then we'll. But honestly, I laughed myself sick. I absolutely pissed myself laughing with some of these questions, but there's some good stuff. Like a lot of female fans seem to be like, I don't know what it is, but this one girl, right? Samantha 41. Do you know who that is?
I got no clue who that is.
Samantha 41. Right, here we go. Where's my phone? So I'm going to summarize Samantha 41's question. If you're in the chat, Samantha, we're going flying in with your question. Okay. So Samantha 41. Where is it? Neil. Matt looks like a huge and passionate man. Right? He seems intense and very aggressive. This is my favorite bit. I think I could tame him. Fuck. Hey? I think I could tame him, she says. And then she said, please ask Matt if he also has a softer and romantic side. When he's with a lady, this is great. This is great. When he's with a lady, does he have little games that he plays? And if so, what? I mean, has there ever been a better question than that? That's funny shit. I don't usually get that.
Well, if you watch my video on YouTube today, I like to tickle the limits, right? So
I thought that was ace. I mean, you obviously, how old are you now, Matt?
Almost 40.
40 years old, Matt. So Samantha, he's 40 years old. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, when I first met my wife, we'd have little bits of things you'd say. I mean, it's going back a while, you know what I mean? I remember we had, like you have little things you do to each other where we used to say lines, right, from Rocky IV, Ivan Drago lines. She'd like grab hold of something. She'd be like, oh, he's not human. He's like a piece of iron. And I'd be like, I must break you. We left it. But kind of shit you do, but not at 40. Let's have a look if we've got any other stuff coming. I like the Matt COVID mask. Who comes up with this stuff? Absolute quality. They're coming flying in. I had another one about your nickname, Wild Horse, and literally the day after you released a video on it. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's how the name had come about. So that was quite good. So let's have a look at some of these questions. Oh, we got Chance Short in here. We've got a shit ton of the Troll Army. I am talking a massive Troll Army. How's it going, guys? Jesus Christ. Coming flying in.
Army, hey? Just some of the crazy names to come up with. So
yeah. Rob Virgin Jr. in here.
Yeah.
Here we go. Ask Matt if he plans to go to Zloty this year. Will there even be one?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
no, I don't really have any plans for Zloty. I got a few other things I'm working on, waiting to hear what else comes about again. But as for Zloty right now, it's not on the top of my priority list.
Well, to be honest, mate, the big, and I know a lot of this, we're going to get into it as we go on, but you're 100% focused. I mean, just for everybody in the chat, for everybody watching the show, I'm not sure how many people you've even got on here. I never know how many people you got on here. But what I would say is this. I contacted Matt, what was it, like 2 weeks ago when we were first going to do this, and asked Matt if he wanted to come on the In the Presence of Greatness show, which was set for Sunday night. And Matt said, no, I can't come on. I'd love to come on, but I can't come on because I can't take time off training. And we're training on Sunday night. So to say that this lad is focused on what he's got, the task he's got ahead of him, which obviously, as everybody will know, is Hermes the Gladiator Gasparini. It's a big match against somebody who's looking rot strong. And obviously, you're taking it very seriously, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, it's not so much just what he's created for himself over the last little bit, getting a piece of that pie, but just trying to prove a point that, okay, I'm not just going to beat him in WL rules, but I'm going to take him in PAL rules, WAF rules, whatever rules we're competing in. I'm going to show him that after pulling and actual when the time comes are two totally different things. And just because someone feels good in an after pull or a practice pull, that doesn't mean that that's not what they're capable of when it actually comes to showtime. Sure. So,
how much did you actually feel from him, Matt?
He's probably gripped up on the after table right now. He'd probably spank my fucking ass.
But you're like Samantha said, you're a very intense individual, aren't you, mate? And you do tend to wind yourself up. I mean, when we've been at the WL events, you see how much you're winding yourself up. You get yourself into an absolute rage. So I don't want to dwell on this too much because I know Hermes has taken in a massive amount of stick about it, but you're probably the worst example of somebody who'd pull similarly on a practice table to how you would in a tournament, because you come there, when you get to the tournament day, you go red line. I mean, absolute red line. And on the practice table, you look like you were on a picnic.
Well, because it's when it counts, right? So,
like, yeah, 100%.
And in order, like half of these guys, if we were to go to the gym and do lifts and everything else, every single one of these guys would probably outlift the hell out of me. I guarantee you probably 90% of the middleweights would outlift the hell out of me in anything that we're going to do. So my game and where I'm strong and where I'm able to shine the best is when I can get myself to that level mentally where nothing else matters. Right? Yeah. So
when on the night, Matt, Mean Machine Arm Wrestling just flying in with a super chat. Mean Machine, thank you very much, mate. Let's have a look what he's put here. I'm a bit slow out of the blocks. How did Matt develop that nasty hit? Well, let's start with that one, mate. Firstly, does that tie into what you were just telling us? You're not really the guy that's working extensively in the gym. It's table. Is that where the hit came from? Did you sort of just build it up on the table over time?
Well, I do believe everybody is blessed with a different type of twitch speed than the other person. Like just a reaction, a reflex or whatever. Some people are quicker, some people are slower. I was blessed with just a natural quick reaction. So being able to hit on good has just always come naturally for me. But the finesse that goes along with a hit is what deciphers the difference from being able to be quick and being able to not only get your position, but also finish through at the end. Right? Yeah. So I don't do anything for my quick speed thing. That just comes naturally to me. It's nothing I need to work on. It's just my movement and position that I'm going through. So it becomes a muscle memory for me.
But I remember when we did the Deep Inside series and you told me that you didn't start top rolling, did you? You had the speed, but not.
When I first started. And everything was just straight sideways. So it was almost like a high hook, partial hook when I initially first started. But I didn't even realize it wasn't until years understanding the center of the hand and everything else, how that worked, to where I developed into the top roll that I do today. So.
When you did first start the hits, mate, did you notice straight away that you had the nasty speed? Was the fast twitch fiber always there?
It was over there. Like it was years before I ever gotten slowed down or actually gone on and actually trained for strength. I was always somewhat strong, but 90% of the 95% of the matches I won, it was never because I was stronger or better than the other person. It's just because I was that much faster. Right? Speed kills. So,
yeah, it does. And let's be honest, that's something that Hermes Gasparini uses to his advantage as well. It's one thing you've got in
100%.
common, and it was evident when you arm wrestled him. It was like the guy who got the hit got the win. You know, ha! Here we go. Hermes Astawini, right? Super chat just come in. My vengeance burns like the fire of 1,000 suns. Thanks for that, Herpes. Love it, son. Keep them coming. Absolute quality. But back to what we were saying there was, when you were pulling with Hermes, Hermes seemed like he got off to a blinding start and almost relaxed a little bit. You know, he sort of, boom, I got it, and then you sort of reset. You just literally seemed to press the reset button and you were straight back to work, you know. And I think when you got that second hit into him and you took him out with that, I think that he was a little unsettled there. And it's hard to, you know, if you smack somebody and you think, yeah, I got this, and then suddenly you're on your ass, it's hard to get up from that, isn't it? Because it's a real roller coaster ride. 1 minute you're on the peak of confidence, he cracks you the first round, then you smash him the second round, and you didn't seem, what's the right word? You didn't seem flustered. You didn't seem unsettled at all when you lost the first round. You seemed, yeah, been here before. You know?
Well, it was just the amount of information that was handed to me through that first round was more information than I had received by watching any videos, by shaking his hand. Usually you can go up and you can shake somebody's hand and you got a really good indication on what they may have at the table. Mm-hmm. When I was shaking Hermes' hand, there was none of that when we were shaking hands prior to. Like, it felt like he was not showing anything. He went in complete limp hand. And it felt like little girl. I was like, oh, I'm just going to destroy him. So the information I was going in with was completely false.
Yeah.
So I went in, and then it was, okay, I could tell where his pressures were going. I could tell what direction he was going. I could tell what he was trying to get when he was starting. Mm-hmm. And I took all that information and I just used all of it against him, is all I did.
Yeah.
So, like, and everyone's like, oh, so much quicker. Oh, you're getting on the go and you're doing this. And it wasn't so much that. If you actually slow down and you like really, really slow it down, you can see he actually moves first in most of those matches. But because where I was giving my pressure to when he went to initially start, all his energy just got taken
dissipated
away from him.
Yeah.
And I just contained it into where I needed to dissect him out of his
the other thing to mention on that, Matt, is that here we go. Thanks for the super chat from Herpes Asparini, the original Herpes Asparini. Hey, we got a fight between these two guys coming up here. It says, my vengeance does too, bud. I like it. Absolute quality. It's all going off in the comments. But yeah, from what you were saying there, mate, as well, the other thing is that, like you say, Hermes' hit was sort of dissipated a little bit, but you've got more options, haven't you? Because of that height advantage. Because Hermes is not a very big man. I mean, he's not taller than me, if as tall as me, actually. I'm 6'1", and I think he's similar. He's certainly not bigger.
6'1", 6'2" is what they had.
Yeah, he's certainly not bigger. You know, I've stood next to Hermes many, many times, and he's certainly not a big guy. No. Now, he's got to, therefore, move. He can't back off you, effectively, because if you reverse on him, it's going to put unbelievable pressure on him, and you're not going to run out of height. So he's sort of got to move through you a little bit, and that closes down some of the options he's got. So the question I had there was, how easy do you think it is for him to be able to adapt going into the next time he meets you? Do you think he's got a lot of options?
I think he does, if he took something out of the match on what I was doing to him, as opposed to I got screwed by the referees and I wasn't able to channel my energy and do what I was supposed to do from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, because there's a big difference in somebody from being in this position and being in this position to get to where you want to be, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And we had an episode of The Fix the other day. It's not out yet, actually, but we recorded a couple of episodes of The Fix last week. It's obviously difficult when you're juggling all the guys' times. We got Ryan over in Oz, we got Paul, Pennsylvania, we got Latvia, and we got myself. So we smashed a couple of shows out there, and we were talking about how we thought that match would go, what we'd seen, and trying to draw comparisons. And one of the sort of overriding comparisons that came in there was Marcio Barboza. And we talked about Toddzilla versus you, and Toddzilla versus Marcio, and you versus Marcio, you versus Hermes, and the comparisons. And I wanted to just ask you outright, because it registered on my mind at that time. Would you say that Hermes was the most venomous hitter, pure top roll hitter that you've faced, or not?
From when I pulled him, no. From when I pulled him, no.
Versus Marcio, if Marcio's a 10.
If he gets what he needs, the up and back pressure that he had, like that I was able to feel from him in the after pull, was definitely top, like some of the best I've ever found.
Was it the wrist that was shutting you down?
What's that, sorry?
Was it his wrist that was shutting you down in the after pull? When you were sort of punching back at him, did he feel like his wrist was extremely dominant?
Well, no, if he gets just this, just a little bit of this, his up and rise.
His rise is mega.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah. He sort of lies off his tricep, doesn't he?
You can get this just perfectly straight on him. He's not as strong as he is with a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that's what he had the first match. So,
Lloyd Christmas. Oh, he's not a fan of Hermes. Hermes, girls' hands, Gasparini. Harsh stuff. And I think it's that kind of stuff that's going to really ignite Hermes. I mean, he's a proud man, and he bloody well should be, because Hermes Gasparini is, he's a beast. The man is iron. And I think those kind of comments are what's burned him, and he's got a real point to prove. And I want to come to a question relating to that. We got Chance Shaw. Chance, how you doing, mate? He's a man on a. Have you been watching Chance recently? He's looking red hot, really looking good.
Yeah, he's looking really good.
He's put on there. Matt reached out when I was first starting and offered help on how to pull. He's the reason why I pull the way I do. I owe him a lot of my success. From Chance Shaw to you, mate. Chance, thank you for the super chat. We've just passed that on, and that's really a nice gesture from Chance Shaw. And that must make you feel very proud, mate, because that young man has got a very big future, you would expect, in this sport. He's on a tear, isn't he, at the moment?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, in my eyes, he's definitely the future of the sport. He's definitely the new age coming in, right? And the schoolboy, there's a bunch of them, but yeah, Chance is right up there. So and as for Chance, I just gave him some information, and he was the one that was able to use it to his advantage, right? So
Oliver Marth just come flying in. Ollie, how you doing, mate? He's put 6'2" isn't a big guy. Fuck you, Neil. Hey, Oliver, I'm 6'9", led down, son, especially early in the morning, motherfucker. Now then, I wanted to just come back to the whole pressure scenario, Matt, right? Because a lot of people sent things over to me that the questions were sort of going this direction. And it was, in a roundabout way, are you nervous about this match? Do you feel like you've got is the pressure on you because you won the first time? Or is it more on Hermes because he's sort of saying, that was a one-off fluke. That won't happen again. If we pull under different rules, it'll be a different story. Where's that pressure barometer, mate?
Oh, absolutely. There's tons of pressure. I'm fucking nervous as hell about it. So
in a good way?
Because I made it look so much easier the first time, but there was a lot of controversy too. Like I had some messages from people telling me on how much I screwed him and everything else. And it was like, like some of the shit I got too, like there's a lot of backlash too. So it's a lot of it is also being able to prove that, yes, he didn't win because he got screwed. Yeah. He won because I played the game better than him, right? So, and whatever game it is we're playing, if it's PAL, WAF, or WAL, then that's the game we got to play, right?
How much is that a factor? How much is the learning curve of WAL a problem for arm wrestlers? When you first, because people won't know, you pulled a lot. Obviously, you're sort of used to the WAF rules. You're used to the WF format table. How much of a transition did it affect you when you started pulling in WAL? Were you sort of
just
and then adapted?
Some things that affected me, but I personally, I prefer just grip and rip. The whole fighting for position, I don't want to go until I feel comfortable. I prefer the whole thumbs down, close your hands. You get your one chance to get the grip you want, and you go from there. You don't have that 2, 3, 4, 5 minute fuck around where you're trying to get information out of your opponent during the setup. You don't know what's going on, right? Just like he don't know what's going on with me either, unless he's pulled me before, right?
Well, the interesting thing is, I think there's this misconception out there that you want to be hanging on to him, that you're bothered about having that loaded start, that heavy pressure, and that's not the case, is it? If you need to go loose, you can go loose. If you need, you're adaptable in that respect, you know.
Yeah, because if I'm loading up and I'm applying pressure to him and he's pulling me off the pad, well, then he's going first. So there's a big difference on what people don't understand about loading into your opponent's arm and loading into your arm.
Yeah.
Right. So
did Hermes load at all with you?
Oh yeah, he was
in LA. He was loading. Yeah.
Yeah. And all I was doing was I was just matching his load, and as where I felt his pressure going, I was just cock blocking it. So when he went to apply more there, he lost it. Right.
Did you start with your arm any more vertical than normal, Matt, with Hermes? Or were you did you back your elbow off and top from there, so you were reversing off him? Or were you more vertical and not letting him reach you?
No, I was more vertical.
I think I said in the live feed.
All his pressure was coming up and back.
Yeah.
All his pressure was coming up and back, so I needed to be on top of it to contain it, right?
And it also, the thing that you said there, that he's very, very strong if he can get that turn or bend. And if you're more vertical, it seems to me like you're going to be putting a lot more pressure on his top two fingers, and he's not going to get as much of an opportunity to supinate there at all. If you're making it so he can't reach you, and try to lower your arm, you know. Yeah, smart move. And it looked it. I think I can't remember what I said, but whether I was live or whether I'd muted and just said it to Ben. But I remember at the time thinking, Christ, he looks more vertical than usual. And I wasn't sure whether I'd give Hermes the opportunity to blast at you sideways. But it actually worked like a diamond. It was really, really good. Really solid. And that was a conscious decision, was it? You were trying to do that.
Well, I knew exactly like what I was told anyways.
Yeah, really, really, really smart move. Now, I know you're not going to give away any sort of trade secrets in terms of how you're approaching the match this time around, mate, but everybody talks about, or he's talking about right now, two things. Number one, Hermes is much bigger than he was. So I think when he pulled you, he was supposed to be rumored to be around the 105 to 107 K mark. And the next time around, we're told that he's going to be like 115 kilos in weight. Does that really concern you at all, Matt? Oh, where'd you go, brother? I've just lost Matt completely here, guys. For those of you on the live feed, if you can still see Matt, put something in the chat for me, guys, because I cannot see Matt at all. In a minute, I'll sing a song. Oh, wait a minute. We got a live chat in there. I'm assuming Matt's going to come back in a moment, guys. I've lost him, and he's gone very quiet, which ain't like Matt, so we'll try and admit him again in a minute. Let me just see what we got on the super chat here from Adrian O'Connor. Matt, in your opinion, where do you rank in the world top 10? He'll be back on in a minute, mate, and I'll ask him that question because it is very specific to Matt. So give me a moment. Let me admit him, brother. and we will get him back on. I think it's at his end, and I think it just lost the signal. That's all. So we should get him back on. Hope everybody's okay out there tonight, guys. We're going to be on here for probably about another 30 minutes, 35 minutes. I think we got with Matt. So also do us a favor. If you guys are enjoying the lives, let me know, will you? Whether you prefer the live format, if you enjoy the live format, and also give us a shout about who you'd like to get in on the lives, and we'll see if we can make that happen as well. And remember, if you want, you can send that over to me on the email. The email is just supernaturalstrengthchannel@gmail.com. Okay, supernaturalstrengthchannel@gmail.com. I'll just message Matt. Let's see where he's dropped out at, whether he's got an issue with the signal. Oh, here we go. He's back. Hi, mate. You can't beat the Red Deer Wi-Fi, son.
I don't know. Was that me or was that you?
I think that was you, actually, mate. I think that was you. I've had that happen to me on the fix many times, but I think it's looking rock strong over here at the moment. So while you were away, we got a super chat from Adrian O'Connor, and he's just put, this is an intro. Oh, Matt, you're on his side, mate. Can you just turn yourself on his side? You're getting a good angle on the arm, though. I'll give you that.
What do you need?
Just turn on your side. Your phone's upright, and at the moment, it's showing you your side on the screen. Okay, right, let's have a look. So, oh, no, he's locked up again. You've locked up again on me, Matt. Come on, Red Deer Wi-Fi. It's a bit of a bastard, ladies and gentlemen. If it's my feed, let me know, guys. I don't think I'm coming through slow. I think it's at Matt's end. If you can still hear me in the chat, guys, give us a shout. Let me know. I bloody hope you can. Let's have a look. I'll try and catch right up. Yeah. Don't worry, mate. He'll be back in a second. a lot of pancake love in these comments as well tonight. Pancake loving. He's coming back in now, guys. We're killing it, mate. We're killing it. We're killing it, son. Right, let's have a look. Let's find a question again. Chat went bananas when you dropped off.
Yeah,
right, here we go. Let's have a look.
My Wi-Fi is showing full bars, so.
Yeah, it's distance. Here we go. Yeah, so question is, Matt, in your opinion, where do you rank in the world? Top 10, top 20? And how do you think you would do against guys like Michael Todd, Levan Saganashvili, and Vitaly Lalatin? Really good question, Adrian. And that'll have Matt thinking a little bit, I'm sure.
I'd say right now I'd like to consider myself top 15-ish, anywhere around there, give or take a few. Where I see myself against Michael Todd, Levon, Vitaly, all those guys right now, I would say they're a little bit on a bigger level than where I am right now. Where I see myself and where I think I have the potential to be, I think I'm right there with them.
Yep.
But as for right now or anytime within the next month or two or possibly 6 months, I'd say I'm not there yet. Realistically, I'm not there. So it's going to take me a lot more to get back into being where I was and starting to improve from there. So I just started getting back into it about 3 weeks ago, and I'm not going to be lighting up anytime soon. So
how have you been through COVID, Matt? Have you managed to keep active at all in terms of your club and so on? Has Red Deer been badly hit, or has that area not been too bad?
No, we weren't doing practices for the longest time just because you weren't able to. For a bit, we were meeting together the odd time the last couple months. So we're starting to get together more often now. But as for doing a bunch more, like I was doing a bunch of other projects, everything else, I wasn't I wasn't working out, wasn't concentrating on tea at the time. I had a bunch of other things that were way more important to me than competing and progressing myself in the sport at that time. But I'm back to that's right up on the top of my list again.
Well, to be fair, this is the first big match opportunity that you've had, with the WL being a little bit on the back burner for the time being because of the COVID situation. And to be honest, most organizations in the world, you know, it couldn't be worse, could it? We don't know about clarity for traveling now. Countries on red list, left, right, and centre. Australia shut down from travelling. Canada shut down for travelling. The UK the same. Oh, here we go. We've just had another super chat come through. We got here for you. US Frame, $5 super chat. Thanks, mate. Much appreciate it. And his question is, Matt, what's your opinion on the PAL and the WL contracts? The legitimacy. So he wants to know about the PAL and WL contracts legitimacy if they are not going to operate. So PAL, obviously the most recent view of this we've had has been them blocking Levan. If you want to talk about your situation with the WL and obviously what's happening with the Hermes Gasparini match, have they given you sort of license to pull? Are you allowed to talk about that? Is it something you want to talk about, mate?
Well, Hermes isn't PAL. So, and as far as I was under the impression that there was no issue with the WAL having Michael Todd compete in the PAL or anything like that, it was the PAL having issues with Levan competing. And I get it from all standpoints, as a competitor, as a fan myself, like if it was to be my business and what I was trying to achieve with it and everything, I get all angles of it and all. I understand why they did what they did. I understand why so many people are as butthurt as they are about it, but what do you do, right? So.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But have you ever felt that you've been restricted by UWL agreements or anything like that? Because I'm yet to speak to an athlete who has actually said that to me. I've not met any athlete that said, "Oh, you know, I can't operate because the WL won't let me do this or let me do that." Have you had any issues like that at all, mate?
There was a few things that I had been offered, and I had talked to them about it, and they said, "No, we don't agree with it because this, or we're trying to do this, we got this coming up." So I didn't end up doing it, and I stuck true to my contract. And one of the reasons why I'm as known as I am and gotten the opportunities I've had is due to WL, right? So
you were super active, weren't you? I mean, you got to be.
They've treated me really well as for giving me matches against different people and like having me compete more than once a year, instead of, keeping me on the back burner the whole time and then go up, get one match and then sit on my arse for another 11 months, right? So as for that, so I do have like a good layer of loyalty with WAL. So, yeah,
you were definitely, people talk about fan favorites and that gets thrown around a great deal. But if there's such a thing as a fan favorite, you're that more, aren't you? There's no doubt about it. I mean, I've never met anybody who doesn't like watching you arm wrestle. Because you are excited.
People want to see carnage, right?
Mate, you're intense. And that's what people do want to see. And it didn't really matter win, lose, or draw. It was just ridiculous. Some of your matches were just blowing up. I mean, I remember we did they did like an opinion poll before you pulled with Hermes and an opinion poll before you pulled with Jerry. And both of them, there were massive numbers of people getting involved in the opinion polls. And against Jerry, you were probably the underdog on all the purest scorecards in the building. And in the public forum, you were a massive favorite. Like it was something like 95% of people thought you were going to slay him because everybody was on the wild horse bandwagon. That must have made you feel really proud, mate. I mean, you're obviously making waves there, aren't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't pay too much attention to it, right? Because if you think you got it in the bag or anything like that, it's, you can't. Yeah, I always try to think of myself as the underdog. Whenever I'm going into the match, I'm
I try to have it where it feels like everybody's against me, right? Everybody in the room, there's nobody on my side. I'm 100% alone, and they're trying to take everything I've ever worked my life for away from me, right? So
how do you feel going into this one, mate? Do you feel like people want you to win?
Well, I would hope. So I like to think I'm more entertaining when I do win. So as opposed to when I'm not, I get more revved up when I am winning, and all that information is coming into me. Sure. But I feel good. Like already right now, just thinking about it, like one of my biggest things about it is getting mentally prepared for it. And I can't even grasp the thought of trying to mentally prepare myself for it right now. Even thinking about it already, I can feel the hair standing up on the back of my neck. So I'm just trying to ignore it, and all I'm concentrating on is just training it. Once I get closer to it, I'm going to really be dissecting it mentally, visualizing every angle, how I'm going to be looked at when I walk in the room, everything. And that's when, but I'm going to be revved. I'm going to be revved to the max for this one. I can tell already. So
were you aware the first time you guys competed, obviously WAL being an area you're very familiar with, do you think like Hermes may have felt like he was the alien there? He was the sort of outsider, not used to the format, maybe felt like he was not the fan favorite there. He wasn't getting the love from the crowd in the same way, because you heard the reaction from the crowd when you came out, and people got, there's a lot of talk about the crowds at WAL, but the majority of the crowd is actually made up of arm wrestlers. Whenever I've been, there's an enormous amount of arm wrestlers. It's actually great because you come down from the stage after and all your mates are there. There's like people you may not have seen for a while, and they're all there in the crowd, so you can have a beer with them after, which is really cool. But do you think that roles might be reversed a little bit if you were to pull this? We don't know where the match is happening yet, but let's say it happens in Italy, or it happens in Turkey, or it happens wherever it happens. Do you think that'd be a little bit of a different experience for you mentally? Do you think it'd be a little daunting?
I personally think it's going to help me, if anything, because I don't have to try to put myself in a mind frame where I'm 100% alone, right? Because all I have to do is just start talking to people, and when half of them aren't speaking my language, or it's going to already have a little bit of that in there, right? So and I would say, like Hermes, I say going in right now, I would say Hermes is the fan favorite. I would say more people think he's going to win than think I'm going to win. You know what I mean? So,
well, it's funny, isn't it? Because the timing of this, the timing of it was really surreal. Literally, the week after we see everything going nuts on Larry's channel, and he's there. I know he took a lot of abuse for the practice table king and all that, because the next time we see him, he's pulling with Vitaly Lalatin, who obviously was placed second in the top 8, and many people believe is right there, including myself, believe he's right there in that conversation for who the man is, And suddenly he's there, and we see Hermes doing well with him. And there was little bits of snippets there, where he says, "Oh, we pull left arm," and Hermes is like, "Oh no, left arm injured," and immediately Vitaly's like, "Well, right arm injured for me," So there was little bits of things there.
See, that's in my eyes, that's the difference, right? So and Vitaly in my mind is, like you said, I agree with you 100%. He's right up there, top 2, top 3 in the world, maybe even number 1 in the world. But one of the reasons why that is because even if he's not 100%, he's still going to go in there and feel something, right? So, that speaks more to me than, and I heard the same thing. So you can't use that as an example, and especially after pulling, right? After pulling is like, I know for myself competing at practice or after pulling is completely different fucking version. than when you see me on the table and there's actually something up for line, or it feels like that person is a threat to me, and I'm a completely different person. So
but it's so ironic, isn't it? Because that thing came, you can almost like you can envisage that Hermes would be sat there, and if he's reading some of the comments and listening to some of the chat that's on the massive amount of shows that are being pumped out on the sport of arm wrestling now, he's going to be thinking, bastard, here we go again. I'm taking a lot of abuse about practice table wins, and it's going to be eating away at him because he's a proud man, and he's going to be getting a little bit upset by that, because he's sort of like got this moniker that he's the practice table king, when in fact he's so much more than that. The man is rock.
Oh, he
strong.
definitely is. He definitely is. And see, I think the thing that's setting him back is he feels right now he has something to prove. And he wants to prove it in the worst fucking way possible.
Yeah.
And he's taken every single angle and approach that he can use to show that he is on that level. Do I believe athletically he's on that level? 100 fucking percent. I felt his power. I believe he has the athletic ability to be on that level. Like, he's proven it already in the past in the lighter weight divisions and everything else. But mentally, as a man, that's a different story, right? So,
yeah, he really pissed you off with that, didn't he?
So, well, it's not that. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's just a judge of character, right?
Well, it's going to be a really interesting one, because it's almost like sometimes I think you talk yourself into these situations. I mean, Michael Todd has got one coming up, hasn't he? Because people take their signals. All the newcomers to the sport will take so many signals from stuff that's going on, stuff that they've seen, they've ingested on frigging Facebook or YouTube or some shit. And behind the scenes, there's so much going on. There's so many little nuances that are real. I mean, we're not going to talk about it for obvious reasons, but very few people, nobody will know your situation going into the Todd Hutchins match. Okay?
Yeah.
I know your situation going into the Todd Hutchins match. That never got broadcast, never got put out there. Nobody knew shit about that. But it was very, very significant factor in my mind. You know what I mean? So if somebody's speaking to me about, oh, what about that time, though, when Matt got beat by Todd? I personally don't put that much stall on it. You know, credit to Todd. He won the match. Great, no problem. But do you get what I mean? I'm not putting that much on it. I'm like, yeah, that was on a Thursday. On a fucking Sunday might be really different, because there was a lot of stuff going on. So tonight, Michael Todd rings me up, okay? Nothing unusual. Michael rings me all the time. But one of the things that did come out of there was that Mike's like, I'll tell you what, everybody, I'm a betting favourite. What the, when am I a betting favourite? It's like almost funny, saying the fact that a lot of people think that I'm going to win this match is quite funny to me, because usually he ain't the betting favourite, and particularly when he's pulling Devon. Devon's always been the favourite. When we pulled him in Arm Wars, Devon's a favourite. Pulling WAL, Devon's a favourite. On this occasion, he's like, what the fuck? I don't know how to deal with this. I'm the frigging favourite. And I'm like, yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? How that's going to affect you mentally. And I think there's an enormous amount of that going on in the athlete's mind that people perhaps don't register. They don't think, how's that whole scenario playing out? How's it affecting this guy? And the flip side of that same coin is the pressure that can be created by yourself when you're going into a match. And I think Hermes sometimes has been a victim of that, because he's that guy who's flashing a pan excellence, isn't he? He'll show up at a tournament in Turkey and he'll crack 5 Ukrainians who nobody's ever seen that done to. He'll get wins against some dyed-in-the-wool killer like Krassi, and then he'll go over to WL get beat by you, be really upset by it, go rampant online and say, mother, that was a one-off. Next time he goes, he's pulling Vitaly Lalatin and he's doing well there. You've created a situation now, once you've done that with Lalatin, everybody must be thinking, holy shit. All these guys that are casual fans of the sport are going to be expecting him to fly in on with a pair of wings on his back. They're going to be expecting amazing things from him, aren't they? If he can do that with Lalatin and you buy into that, you got to be careful. Sometimes when you do something like that, you kind of don't want the cameras there. It can be a problem. If you're not mentally equipped now, and there's 50 fucking cameras in the room, problem. Interesting. Really interesting. So, I don't know. Let me paint a picture for you. Okay. If you sort of break down the opponent, the following three opponents, right, that you've pulled and had differing results against, I want you to give me your sliding scale of who you believe is most dangerous for you. First, Marcio Barboza. Second, Toddzilla, the big Toddzilla. And third, Hermes Gasparini. And it can be format related, so where you're going to arm wrestle them, rule system, whatever, or it can be stylistic. How do you sort of view those three guys in terms of stylistically, how hard they are for you and how much of a threat they represent in matches that you're likely to have with them again?
I'd say every one of them is a threat. Every single one of them is a huge threat just because what they're capable of, right? So, and all depends on how a guy's feeling that day too, right? What's going on, everything else, what side of the bed you woke up on, everything plays a huge factor when it comes to that level and caliber of pullers. Like there's such a fine line where it's a difference between a win or a loss, right? So like I'd say the person that I fear the most, has the most threat to me, and it's more just a mental thing just because I haven't successfully had a win on him yet, and that would be Toddzilla. I haven't felt the actual connectivity from the start to the finish, right? I've been in matches with Marcio and I've been in matches with Hermes where I felt Dave went to go or Dave shot through their position and I was able to control everything from the start into the finish. So with Todd, it felt like I was able to control everything from the start and then everything got taken away from me and then it was panic. Would it be a different story if we were to pull again? I think it would be, just from what I've learned and everything else along the way from them. But just mentally, just because I don't have any wins on them, right? Yeah. So going from a deficit to getting a little bit of a surplus is a lot harder than kind of already being in the game a bit and starting with something, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? You ever seen the film Sliding Doors, Matt? With Gwyneth Paltrow? Years ago. Okay, so there's this film, yeah? Sliding Doors is the title of the film. Look it up. And it's quite a good film, actually. But the whole concept of Sliding Doors is the fact that this girl is going down, or one of the characters in the film is going down onto a subway. And the first element of the film, she goes through the doors that are on the train, gets onto that train, the doors slide shut, she's on, starts that section of her life, and she meets someone on there and takes her down one path in life, right? And then it replays the thing where she doesn't get on the train. She goes down and the doors slide shut, she doesn't get on them. So it's funny how these things come about, and people won't know you weren't originally slated to arm wrestle Hermes Gasparini in WL. It was your bollocks that got you into that match on short notice, because Hermes Gasparini was slated to pull Marcio Barboza. And Marcio got injured, and you were like, I can pull him.
Yeah.
So here we are. You wind the clock forward, sliding doors. You're going to be going over and pulling this dude for good money.
Yeah.
I'm
Possibly,
hoping. Yeah. It's funny how this shit works out, isn't it? You can't write it, you know? Do you feel that's good fortune? Or do you sometimes, when you see the pressure building up like this and the fact that it's not the best climate to travel and so on, do you kind of look back and think, how the did I get into this situation? You know? Do you enjoy it?
I just learned to kind of roll with the punches. So yeah, every opportunity is, I consider it a blessing, right? So so it was, if that door opening was a door for this to open up, after this, who knows what door is going to open up after that, right? So, but just going through one corridor at a time.
So we got a question here that I want to. This is from Huz, and it says, "What effect does carrying the angle of your elbow have on arm wrestling?" Now, we talked about that a little bit in terms of you making your arm more vertical. One of the things that I was going to sort of build on that question, thanks for that question, guys, would be, do you ever position your elbow more out, more under? So I know you took it a great deal to give you a lot of defensive capability. Do you ever sort of go the other way and utilize the bone? So people are hitting into the bone if somebody's trying to hook up you?
It all depends on the person, honestly. So like if you know, it's different when you're coming to a tournament and you're pulling against people that there's not a lot of footage or you don't know much about. You're usually starting from the same position and then just kind of adjusting from there. But when you're able to dissect the way somebody pulls or you think they pull and kind of come up with a game plan of your own, 100%. Like there's a 7x7 in WAF and a 7x9 pad in WAL. Like you want to utilize every inch of that pad, right? So somebody's coming across this way, I'm going to be setting up more underneath where I can catch them and pry out. So as they're going to go through their position, just the angle of my arm is going to supinate their hand. So everything makes a huge difference. So
in terms of your
there's not
preference?
many matches that I can think of where I'm set up in the exact same spot of the pad every single time, right? Depending on the puller, you're setting up in a different angle. So,
well, you're known so much for this big booming hit, right? This super aggressive blistering hit. When you're hitting like that, do you, in your own mind, are you often hitting for position or are you hitting for the pad? Are you sort of like picture? I sometimes used to do different stuff. If I was hitting very much back and defensively, I had a certain style, and the other style I had would be where I'd literally look at the pad and I'd picture going through the pad, not to the pad, through the fucking pad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you do a similar thing? Do you get to a situation where often you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm going to hit for position. I'm not going to hit to pin this dude. You blast them and they've gone because you're such an awkward. But I mean, for anybody that's not met Matt in real life, Matt is a very, very large human being. I mean, really rangy, long ass, really, really big. And probably the most awkward style of arm wrestler to compete against is that very, very long lever we were talking about it a moment ago with Vitaly the Latin. You know, it's hard to pull against someone like that. And I wondered whether you being as awkward as you are, mate, I've obviously never experienced having that kind of a size advantage in terms of length of forearm. Do you often, when you hit for position, do people a lot of the time just fold over on you? They're getting nothing and just die?
A lot of times, there's, again, it depends on the style, right? So certain pullers, as soon as you take anything away from them, everything just kind of buckles.
Yep.
And they don't know what to do after that. Some, you'll take everything away, and it seems like the more you take away, the stronger they get. Right? Like Todd Hutchins, for instance. You get into a position where you feel 100% comfortable, but as you're going through your move and you have everything that you feel you need necessary to completely compromise his hand and expose his arm into a dangerous position. Yeah. And he's getting stronger as the match is going on. Right. Yeah. So it all depends. Like, and sometimes, like, if I'm pulling In a super match, depends on who it is. Like if I know they've got a shit ton of stamina, I'm trying to get it over with quick. If I know their stamina is somewhat the same as me, I'm hitting for position. If I'm pulling in the tournament and I know the difference between two being at 85% and 80% could be the difference between first and second or third place, then I'm thinking every one of my matches, I'm just going pin, because I want to be standing up on, you know, the quarterfinals sitting at 98% because I finished all my matches in less than an eighth of a second and I'm still full of energy, right? So as opposed to hitting for a position and then driving for the pin from there, you're going to lose a little bit of percentage time. But a super match, that could be beneficial because if you take your opponent out of this position, now not only is he pulling from a bad position, if he continues to pull you from that shit position, his energy level is going to continue to drastically drop. And if I'm comfortable, mine's not quite dropping as quick. So a super match, I'm more hitting for a position and then going for the pin as opposed to straight to the pack, right? So it all depends on what team we're playing, right?
Oh, bloody right, mate. Without a shadow of a doubt. And we just have, it's going off in the chat a little bit about obviously North American heavyweights and this and the other. But one of the things that was interesting that came through on the email for this was, where does, firstly, the first part of the question, and this is from Grover, and he said, well, first part of the question is, where does Matt put himself in Canada? Obviously, some great heavyweights in Canada. He mentions Devon. He mentions Ryan Espy. He said, have you ever pulled Ryan? I know you have. But talk to me about that, mate, for Canada. Where would you put you right-handed and then left-handed? Where would you put yourself in Canada?
In Canada, right hand, I would say I'm right behind Devon. I'm number two. I would say that Ryan would probably be a close third, like right behind us. I feel that I would beat Ryan, not quite easily. Ryan definitely does have a lot to bring to the table. But I feel even just mentally, I'm way more in his head just with the names and who I've competed against and who I've beaten as opposed to himself. And Ryan's the type of person where if he looks at somebody so much, well, they've done this, so they've done that, he fucks himself mentally, right? So because of that, I say Ryan has brought himself down a little bit. I would say Ryan's underneath me. Left arm, Ryan would definitely have to be the favorite. I would say even, I don't know how Devon's left feels lately, but I would say a year or two ago, that Ryan probably should have been the favorite for number one in Canada with the left arm. Just with his hit. A lot more finesse, speed, everything else. I'd love to be able to have a chance to pull Ryan again, either arm. So he's had a couple opportunities, and whatever reason it was, it didn't work out for him, or he didn't feel it was ready at the time. He declined the match. There was talk of us possibly competing in one of the upcoming seasons of WL if they ever get going again here due to COVID and everything else. So, but I would say that's how the pecking order goes. 1, Devon, 2, me, 3, Ryan in the right. And then I would say it's toss up between Devon and Ryan first. And then I'm right there with them, probably number 3 or number 2 with the left. So
how do you think, like, if you stacked up yourself, Devon and Ryan, in terms of your level in North America, and you're all three of you on your very best form, how many guys do you believe could beat you in North America, i.e. the States? Do you have guys over there that you think, I know for a fact that you feel like you've got something with Jerry if you pulled again, because you learned some lessons that first match. But of the other sort of usual suspects crop, I didn't know that, or don't know that you'd ever pulled Travis. I don't believe you have. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I've never gripped up with Travis at all.
You have pulled like a yellow, haven't you? You've pulled Mike.
Yeah, I pulled Mike.
Who of the other sort of like men most likely, the usual suspect guys, have you arm wrestled against in North America? How many guys would you think, okay, this guy could potentially beat me?
I would definitely say Chafee, obviously. So I'd say Chafee has the potential to be anybody in the world.
Yeah, just
as far as I'm concerned. I would say if he's in his top form, he's right up there, top 3, top 4 in the world, guaranteed. So, but
outside of Dave, and do you think you could do something with Travis?
I think I could. Like, it all depends. Like Travis on his best day where he's ever felt the best he's ever felt, I don't think anybody can beat Travis. So
it's interesting, you know why? Because I've seen some
if you were to tell Travis, say 4 hours from now, hey, you're pulling Matt, I think I would smoke him.
Yeah.
I think if you told Travis, hey, on fucking June fucking 16th and 3 months from now, you're going to be pulling Matt, I think it'd be a completely different story.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
just because Travis has that ability to be able to completely dissect an opponent on where he's going, what he needs to take his opponent away from him. And then plus he also has the gift of candor and everything else, the gift of annoyance, the gift of distracting the referee.
Yeah,
like he's got so many gifts at his disposal. And he's just, he's got one working on you and it's already taken effect and he's pulling another one out of his fucking hat, right?
Yeah.
So you need to be, I think in order to be able to beat Travis, you have to be completely tunnel visioned and literally nothing else in the room is even making any sense, right? So
very interesting. And that's another, here we got a super chat here from Daniel Ulrich. And his question is, have you pulled pork chop?
Pork chop? No, but I will in probably 5 or 6 days. So
you're going to put, what, are you going over to Devon's or are you training down there?
Yeah, I'm going to be flying down to Devon's for 5 days. So I'm going to help get him ready for Michael Todd. He wants me to work the shit out of his hands. So
yeah, pork chop looks really strong, didn't he? He pulled Heidebrek, didn't he? The other week. I saw him pull Rick Heidebrek. He's another big lad. Is he same height as you, Rick?
No, he's got 2 or 3 inches on me.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm probably 100 and some pounds. So
yeah, I know he's bigger, but I didn't think he was taller. Wow.
Yeah, I think he's 6'8" or 6'9", something like that.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he's right up there, the same height as what's his face?
That's a big mother fluffer. Yeah, like Vitali, because Vitali's fucking huge, man. Yeah, absolute unit. Hey, we got another super chat just popped in there. Oh, Jonathan Breeder. Look, you'll love this. I will dominate that left anytime you want it, Matt. Getting called out by Jonathan Breeder on live. Jonathan's looked good, hasn't he? So he pulled with Ron Bath the other day. Really hungry guy, training with a good crew. Obviously trains with Herman and so on. Do you know a lot about Jonathan?
Yeah, I've met John quite a few times actually. Met him in Mississippi at a few other tournaments. So yeah, definitely. I my eyes, left arm, definitely one of the new stars in their eyes, right? Yeah. So yeah. Better get a piece of them while I can still do it, eh?
How much focus do you put on your left, mate? Because you've always been this, like, it's your poor relation arm. But are you really concerned about your left or not so much?
I'm putting just as much focus on my left right now as my right. Everything I do with my right, I'm doing with my left. Yeah. My left is actually, for the first time in fucking a long time, my left is actually feeling good everywhere. Yeah. Like I was always able to, with my right, to transition from hooks to top rolls to everything else. With my left, it was always like the stranger. It would never had that connective, mindset to be able to just work everything through. And it's some days it actually feels better than my right does. Mm-hmm. So and mind you, maybe because my fingers are in way better shape on my left than my right, but it's, like the left is actually starting to really come along. So
interesting. Devon was saying the same one the other day. He was saying his left was starting to feel good. I had a pretty pretty serious motorcycle accident. I used to race motocross bikes and thought I was better than I actually was, and fell on my ass, busted up my left pretty good. And when I was a young kid, it stopped me from wrestling. And then when I got into competing on the right arm, I sort of forgot about it. It was like a poor relation, you know. And then when I screwed up my right arm and I had to have the joint rebuilds, I was forced into using my left because I couldn't fucking wrestle right. So I was like, oh, shit, going to have to get into it. And I started to focus on it. And exactly like you said, I mean, you know, it's like the old, I'll do everything with it. And it almost like it woke up because I had to brush my teeth with it. I had to drink a cup of tea, whatever. And it came around. And for a while, it was really, really solid. I was doing well with my left arm. And then I pulled Andrzej Puszka in Poland. And I managed to do well with him on the first start. And I think I pissed him off. And we went into that. I busted his wrist open. We went into the straps. He put the straps on. And he hit to me. He hit flat wrist press. And as his wrist started to go back, he just drove straight through me and jacked up my arm really bad. He did something to my shoulder. Anyway, I tried to train it off, tried to piss around with it afterwards, couldn't do anything. Went to get it checked out. And they said, oh, yeah, you've got some damage to the ligaments in your front shoulder. And I'd literally just the year earlier started to get back into pulling the right arm again. And I sort of forgot about the left again. It's a shame because I sort of underutilized it. And it's weird. I think sometimes, like you say, it becomes the poor relation. You're not using it often. And when you start to piece it together, your non-dominant arm can do more than you think it can. Hey, up one of your guys in here, Evan Burgoyne. Evan, how you doing, brother? Cheers for the clarification. Here you go. Rick is 6'7" and 280 pounds. And he's just put
I thought he was
Matt.
6'8". But
yeah, it's still a bloody big. What are you, 6'6", Matt?
6'5", 6'5.5". So.
Why do you look so fucking tall? You look
because I got skinny little legs.
Know what it is? Yeah, you certainly look frigging ridiculously tall. You're very obviously not carrying any weight, but you definitely, yeah. Because are you an inch taller than Devon?
Like a half inch.
Right.
Devon slouches more though, right? Have you ever seen him? He's always walking around. His arms are all crunched up, walking around like a T-Rex, right? So
he got super long arms as well, hasn't he?
Yeah. If he actually stood up straight, we'd be pretty much the same height, right? But he likes to slouch. So
yeah, he does. To be fair, he's like slopes along, doesn't he? Let's have what we got question-wise here. I'm conscious of time as well, mate. I'll let you jump off here in a second. Guys, we're going to let Matt go in a second. So if you've got any more questions, fire them on. Fire them on. Let's have a look. Good to see Evan in the chat there. He's been active over there.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
I'll see him in days.
Yeah, you're going to get a good workout there, mate. They got some bad mother fluffers over there to train with, haven't they?
Yeah.
Let's see. Just trying to get you some solid. It's funny, a few people commented on the Travis thing. Be quite interesting, I think, because I've seen Travis struggle with some big top rollers before. People like Taras gave him issues. Obviously, we know what happened with Arsene Liliev, but he went over there not in the best of shape. I do think it's an interesting one. Yeah, I'm just trying to find any stuff that we haven't covered at all. Okay, here we go. Eastern Europeans. Is there an Eastern European that Matt would really like to arm wrestle against? And if so, who? It's a bloody open question.
I don't know. This one goes way back, and it's only because I wanted to pull him 10, 15 years ago. Krause, I've always wanted a shot at Krause because
I get
my eyes when you had Ron Bath, Jean Brezink, Travis Pageant, Marcelo Barbosa, Devin Lorette, Krause was right in there. Like he was, and as far as I'm concerned, just his technicality, what he's capable of on the table. Yeah, he's always been someone I've always wanted to crack at from over there.
Yeah.
So
I actually love that match, mate.
So he's somebody I've always thought about. So like Vitali, obviously I'd like a crack at Vitali and stuff like that, see what would happen there. But I think I'm a while away from being able to do anything with Vitali. I say Krause. I think Krause, me and him right now, especially with the level I'm at, would be a really good match.
Could be an absolute banger, couldn't it? I mean, a question here from Powerful Powerly, and he's put, who's the biggest hands in the WAL? Yeah, I mean, you've got bloody big hands. RVJ's got massive hands. You've got massive hands. Who do you think's got the biggest hands? Longest hands or biggest hands? It's a different thing, isn't it? With the palm or longest hand. I think you'd be up there on the lens, wouldn't you?
Long limbs too, right? So Devin's got really big hands, but I would say like biggest, most intimidating hand. Like he's not in WL anymore, but I would say was Dave Chafin. Every time, just the thickness involved in the palm of that man's hand and how fat it was and how much like a slab of fucking iron it felt. It's hard as rock, isn't it? Most humbling human being you'll ever meet in your fucking life, but you almost pee your pants every time you shake his hand, right? So
I'll tell you what, if I had hands that strong, I'd be scared to go for a piss.
Well,
I mean, literally friggin' hands.
I'd say out of everybody, I usually feel somewhat comfortable in everybody's hand I shake. And when I shook his hand, it was just like, all right, fuck. It was like shaking Richard Lupke's hand too. Same thing, right? Yeah. Just massive thick hand.
And so, big love out to Richard Lupke's for everybody in the chat and everybody watching the show. Richard not in the best of health. I've been in touch with Shirley recently.
Oh, really? Sorry to hear that.
No, Richard's really struggling at the moment. He's in a bad way. And my absolute best wishes. A couple of arm wrestlers out there at the moment that are really going through it, and that my thoughts go out to. First one, Richard Lupke's, obviously. Couldn't wish you more well, Rich. I hope everything works out. The other one is Tamara Mitz. Tamara and her daughter, just the worst time at the moment they're going through. Tamara's daughter suffering from cancer, very serious, late stages. Just awful, absolutely awful. And Tamara is a member of the bloody arm wrestling community forever, you know. Yeah. And I really feel for her and her daughter. And, you know, obviously, I wonder whether people really believe in this sort of the good karma thing or anything like that. But if such a thing exists, guys, please wish Tamara and her family all the very best and hope they can pull through that. And Richard, same to you, mate. If you do watch the show, Richard Lucas, we love you and I hope you pull through, buddy. Oh, here we go. Adrian O'Connor's come back in again. Adrian, you're killing it, mate, with a super chat. It's brilliant. When you visit Devon, are you going to eat some of his burnt pancakes? I don't think you'll have a choice, will you? He says, and also, what's your prediction for Devon versus Michael?
I'm going to eat a shit ton of his pancakes. I'm actually going to make some of my pancakes for him. We actually might even make a video. We might have a cook-off with our pancakes, see who holds the title to make the best pancakes. I'm thinking we get Evan Borgen in there. We got John Mylan. And we get Pork Chop doing our judging for us, so we can see who makes the best freaking pancake, me or Devin. But
absolute quality. That'll be good stuff, mate. And Michael versus Devin, have you got? Are you going biased or?
Right now, just because I know a little more about what's going on behind the scenes on everything. I would say I'm leaning towards Michael after I spend 5 days with Devin, and just because of what I know Devin is capable of and where he's able to get himself mentally if he needs to be there within a couple months, my heart is saying, no, Devin's still going to do it. So my mind right now, it's leaning towards Michael, but my heart is saying that Devin's going to be able to do it. He's going to find a way around him. So just the stuff that man's capable of doing is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, everybody's putting this down to the power thing. I think anybody would say that Michael's probably the stronger man right now, physically stronger man.
Physically, like health-wise, yes. I'd say so, for sure.
But it's the understanding, it's the options. Mike tonight was saying, you know, he says people think this is going to be an easy match, and I'm going to try to make it an easy match, but ultimately it's very difficult, you know. He said whether it goes that way, who knows. He was very honest about the fact that he thinks that a match with Devon is probably one of the most interesting matches that he can, because of what Devon represents and the weaponry he has.
I personally think if Michael lets too much of that get to him and he thinks too much that he has it, I think he's going to fucking screw himself.
Yeah.
I think that Michael is a way better puller. He's a smarter puller, and he's way more dangerous if he was a lot more nervous against the opponent.
I agree.
Like how he is when he pulled Devon last time, how he is when he pulled Devon the first time. Like, it's a completely different story. Like, if you look at the way Michael Todd, when it was, I think it was UAL 10 or whatever it was, when it was in California.
Oh yeah, when the car was there. Yeah.
And Michael thought there wasn't he actually believed there wasn't a single person in the planet that was going to come close to pinning his arm, or that was capable of pinning his arm at the time. And when the way how it unfolded and the way the draws worked out and everything else, and I think that little bit of too much confidence going in is probably one of the worst things for Michael. I think the more Michael doubts himself and the more people doubt Michael, I think the more dangerous Michael you're going to have show up, because he has a lot more that he needs to prove. Yeah,
he's like the archetypal, you know, bet against me and I'll prove you wrong guy. And you know, he obviously always talks about his sheer disgust for losing and on all of that spiel that he comes out with. But it isn't just a spiel to Mike. He really does believe that, and he does live it. And he will break his arm to win. And it's interesting. We were talking about it again tonight on the phone, and it's almost like you're arm wrestling a mirror with someone like Devon, because he's got a massive amount of desire and fight in him as well. You know, it's got him through a lot of matches. I mean, he talked about it a lot in the match and the build-up to the match with Dave Chafee about the fact that he was there to fight and fight for every inch on the table, and that's what he did. And it was ugly, and it was strange in so many ways, but when him and Mike go at it head to head, you're fighting for millimeters, and you're fighting for head space, not just arm positioning. It's who gets in whose head that day. I think is huge. I learned so much from speaking to those two men moments before that last match took place. So much. Literally went over, said good luck to Devon, and where his head was at and what he was faced with and what was going through his mind. It's all these nuances that you don't necessarily... It's almost like there's never a truer statement than, are you a professional? How professional can you be? It's like, yeah, I'm here to do a job. It's hard to not let life get in the way of that, because we're all just humans, and it's very, very hard to not... If some massive distraction comes in from left field and derails your ass, it's very, very hard sometimes to be able to just put that shit on the shelf and crack on. Doesn't work like that often. And I hope there's no twists and turns coming. And I hope that both men can show up in May and be rock strong. But more than anything, I hope the match delivers big time. And I hope it's may the best man win. And I hope it's a screaming, balls out death war.
Well, you know it's going to be. Regardless, it's going to be. Right? So I can't see... I don't see it being a dominant performance for any one of them. And if any of them think that it's going to be a dominant performance for them, then they're in for a long freaking day. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's always got the makings of a classic. I hope it delivers on that. We've got a couple of guys in the chat. Adam Vandal from Western Survivor, the world's best beef jerky in the mother fluffing house. And a good mate of mine, Jason Merlo, just entered the chat. Jason, how you doing, mate? Seeing you out on the boat. Let's get going. Let's do it. If you don't know anything about Jason Merlo, guys, get over to his YouTube channel. Check that out. And also, Matt Mask has just launched a YouTube channel, and he is killing it, as you'd expect him to do. But if you've not been over and checked out Matt's channel, when this goes up after the live, I'll put the address down linked into the description as well, so you can get over there. But what's the name of the channel, Matt?
Matt Mask.
Just Matt Mask. Keep it simple. Does what it says on the tin. Matt Mask. Get over there and please like, share, and subscribe to this man's YouTube channel. Arguably one of the most exciting and intense arm wrestlers in the world. If you haven't checked out Matt's back catalogue of matches in the WAL, in the UAL, and all his previous promotions, get your ass over there and check it out. This guy's been in some screamers, let me tell you now. Ladies and gents, we're going to give it a maximum of another 10 minutes. So if you're just coming in and you want to ask questions to Matt, please do so now. We're only going to be on for about another 10 minutes, and then we're going to let Matt get on with his day. Let's have a look. We'll go through some of the other questions that have come in here. Hey, Jason, no problem at all, mate. No problem at all. Let's have a look. Okay, Matt, if you had to, we spoke about Devon always being a killer match for Michael Todd. If you had to pick an arm wrestler that would always bring the best out of you and you would be in entertaining battles with, who would that guy be?
Well, it's obviously Devon. So just because of just the vendetta we got going on, right? Kind of. Mm-hmm. He's still kind of carrying the torch. I want to take it from him kind of deal. So it's, so close so many times. And I know it's even for Devin, he's wondering when's the day coming, right? So it's, you never know what's going to happen with that. So, but.
I've got a question to me there. Just Jan Hope, let me go back up a little bit, mate, because you just gone off the chat. So Jan's question, yes, you say that, but do you believe that Michael Todd has always beat Jerry Caderet fair and square? Mate, I've watched Jerry and Michael compete many times over the years, numerous times, and I've seen Michael beat Jerry fair and square, and I've seen Jerry beat Michael fair and square. If you're referring to the match in Atlanta at the WAL, Michael deserved to win the match that night just because of what happened at the end of it. Did I want it to finish that way? Absolutely, categorically not. Not at all. I wanted that to finish in a pin. I wanted it to finish. I wanted another round. But the rules of the sport are the rules of the sport, and Michael Todd won the match that night. I think if you went and asked Jerry Caderet who won the match, he'll tell you that Michael Todd won it. Do I think that Michael can beat Jerry every time? Not necessarily, no. I think Jerry on his day is a dangerous, dangerous opponent for anyone. As I've said many, many times, Jerry Caderet, in my opinion, is arguably the most underrated super heavyweight arm wrestler in history. I think the guy is a king savage. He's a serial killer, and he deserves every ounce of respect. I've known him 20 plus years, and that is one bad mother fluffer, let me tell you right now.
I wouldn't be able to help you with that question because I don't think I've ever stayed awake long enough for one of their matches to finish to see how it ended. Eh? So they usually last too fucking long.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking then about that classic match, the guy that brings the best out of you. For Michael Todd, if it's not Devon, it's bloody Jerry. Because, dear, oh dear, some of those matches are just obscene. I was like genuinely worried about one of them passing out. Oh, that was some stupid stuff. I mean, their arms must be numb. Daniel Urich back in with another super chat. Thank you, Daniel. This guy, Daniel, I believe is the guy that messaged me a while back. This guy's a lumber faller, right? Your neck of the woods. And phenomenal. What a dangerous number one. That is a dangerous job. Dangerous job. And Michael Todd's going to be over there with this fella. They're going to be doing some arm wrestling. He's going to get Michael out on the job. So keep your eye out for that content as well, guys. Yes. Interesting stuff from Daniel. But he's asked, can you do a quick gym tour, Matt? As you're in your gym, is that doable?
Yeah. Yeah, I can do a quick little gym tour. See if my Wi-Fi doesn't cut out. Well, all right. There you go.
This is where the magic happens, ladies and gents. A couple of tables in there. 4 tables have you got there, Matt?
Yeah, there's 4 tables in there. One's got a pulley system on it. Just squat rack, leg extension, dumbbells, chin-up bars, climbing rope. This is something that we don't do here.
Absolute quality. How often do you use your climbing rope, Matt?
I use it I haven't been using it lately as I've just started getting back into it. But when I am consistently training more, it's probably, I'd say at least 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm doing back exercises is when I usually hit it the most. But yeah, and
I've always rated rope climb. I think it really for strengthening your hand and wrist, it's especially with a really thick. I used to have a Foxball 8 here, Neil Pickup versus Matt Mask ever happened. It didn't, and I don't think it ever will, mate. I don't want to walk past the big bastard. Let's have a look here. No, Matt, my careers didn't overlap at all. When did you sort of get into it, Matt? What year?
Would have been 2000.
2000, yeah. So Matt started arm wrestling at around the peak of my career. I was probably at my peak, I'd say 2001. At the end of 2001, I smashed my arm up and had to have the rebuild. So I was out for a couple of years from 2002 onwards. Never really got back to health after that. I ended up having, I did make comebacks and pull
highlights, eh?
Mate, it was the frosting was a very sexy look. The ladies love the frosting, let me tell you now. Here we go. We've got another super chat, Rev 45K. Here we go. Matt, any chance of you swinging through Manitoba for a practice on your way back from Devon's place?
Unless they give me a parachute, it won't be possible. So
flight's booked.
Yeah.
Here we go. Does Matt worry about his fingers for longevity for the rest of his career? Does he think it can affect his performance in the future, or does he believe the finger incidents were a freak thing? And that's from my man Jason Merlo.
I'm always worried that they're going to pop out again. I don't think they're as strong on the joint as they used to be.
Yeah.
So there's always that thought in the background. And there'll be times too, at practice, I'll be pulling, I'll apply a little too much finger pressure through a pronation and I'll have to stop and give it a little click, kind of almost back into place. So it's always on the back of my mind. Is it something I'm concerned about? No, I don't really care. So
it's funny, isn't it? That season you had fucking loads of things go. You tore your bloody hamstring, didn't you, in one match?
It was just one thing after another. I was just getting over one thing, and then it was right into something else. So, I think I competed 4 out of 6 of the episodes, and every single one of them I came home with a little gift. So
yeah, I mean that's what, like I was saying, after 2002, when I had my joint rebuilt a number of times, it grinds your ass down. And I had got to a similar situation where I had, because without sort of putting too fine a point, I was always a naturally trained athlete. I never took anything, and I would find that it was soul destroying when I was getting injured very regularly, and then it was taking me 6-7 months more to get back into into training again. And then I'd get going again, and I'd rip something else up. Something else would come off the bone. You'd tear your bicep tendon off the bone. You'd tear your front delt off, and you were like, "Oh!" It's just soul destroying. After another. And I'm getting operations, and the surgeons that are working on my arm are saying things like, "Oh, you need to be careful because you're going to end up crippled if you keep this on. We're having to fit too many things together and patch too many things back up." I look like a frigging patchwork quilt got cut.
Yeah.
And
all my injuries, everything that I've had in the past, none of them are affecting me anymore. The only thing that's affecting me right now is just the lack of training. But with the years I competed, with the amount of energy and everything else I put into it, it's it doesn't take long, I feel, as what it did to get it the first time. It comes back so much quicker now. So
sure. I think one of the big things is as well, you gotta get to a situation in life where you want to do it that bad. You've got, if you don't want it that bad, it's like you said a minute ago, you had so many other things on your mind before this thing came up with Hermes that you weren't really focused on it and you weren't really driving hard. It's sort of having that thing, isn't it? It's having something that you're focused on. You can get your blinkers on and think, right, here we go. And that's a massive thing, isn't it?
I want to leave a legacy behind. So
sorry, what do we got here? It says lots of love to Matt. Just wanted to know if he's got anything particular in mind to train for the Mike matchup. So I think he's referring to Devon. Has Devon got anything that he's? I don't think he. Can you even talk about that?
I'm not really sure. I got a few things in mind. So, but I'm sure Devon's got a few things in mind too. But yeah, that's, I don't know. I know if I was Devon, I wouldn't want me talking about it. So,
yeah, you'll get over there and he'll be like, "Thanks for that, man."
Out of respect, yeah.
Yeah, brought you over here and you gave it all away.
Yeah.
We got Hus has just come in with one as
the
well.
Blueprints of the bank to the robbers, right? So
have a look here. Okay, last couple of questions, guys. And we're going to let Matt jump off. Can't keep him on here all day. Super chat's just flown in from Jeff Miller. Anil, great show, mate. Thank you. Glad you're enjoying it. Matt, do you think Gasparini will be harder to beat with WF rules and pads versus the WL rules and pads when you smashed him?
I say 100%. I guarantee that this is his game. This is his comfort zone. This is the only thing he's really known. I've kind of forgotten all about that for the last 5 years and concentrated all my energy, like all my tables up until 2 weeks ago all had 7x9 pads on. Right. So like if you watch any of the videos, you can see we're doing our practices. There's a couple times, holy shit, I got to get used to these pads because I've adapted my body to that 7x9 pad. Right?
Specialist, mate, professional.
So
what we're talking about, isn't it? Earlier, it's having that. How professional do you want to be? How focused do you want to be? It's funny. Eddie Hall's a mate of mine, obviously, and always remember speaking to Ed when at the time he made the transition from a diesel mechanic, because at the time, you know, the man was a diesel, he was working full time, going over, competing in World's Strongest Man events, and he was still doing all right. You know what I mean? He was winning UK Strongest Man, Britain's Strongest Man when he was competing as a diesel mechanic. But to make that transition to the guy, funnily enough, we were at the Giants Live gig. He just finished and he lifted a world record equal. So it was a new world record on the deadlift. I think it was 463 kilos or something around that he pulled that day. And then he walked over after the show. Myself, Terry Hollands, Bill Kazmaier, and Colin Bryce stood there and we're just shooting the shit after the tournament. He walks over, bold as bollocks as he does, Ed, and he just went, "How much can you get me if I lift 500 kilos?" And there was like this sort of like little ripple of laughter. Eddie didn't laugh. No laughter at all. He was like, "No, really, how big can you make this thing if I lift 500 kilos? Well, the only thing I will say is this. When he asked that question, we were in an open-air stadium at Headingley, okay? The year later, when he did it, and he backed up his bullshit, we were in front of 11,000 people in the First Direct Arena in the centre of Leeds. So it doubled in size straight away. One of the major differences there was the fact that Eddie Hall went from being a diesel mechanic to a full-time professional strongman. And that's the situation that guys like yourself could, you know, that's when I think we'd unlock your real potential, you know. And things like this, you know, the YouTube channels, if we can get the thing going to its self-sustaining, bigger promotions come along, which the biggest promotion in the world, obviously PAL and WAL, potentially afford that. Other opportunities with guys like Larry Wheels coming into the sport and so on. But if a few of you guys can get to that kind of level, I would love to see some of the North American guys become truly professional arm wrestlers, focused on it, and see what level you could get to. That would be something I'd pay to watch, mate. So I'm hoping your YouTube channel goes through the kin roof. Ladies and gents, get yourself over to Matt's YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe. Give this guy some love because he is one of the best arm wrestlers in the world. He's an exciting arm wrestler and he's just amazing to watch. How can you not love Matt Mask? I'm going to let Matt jump off of you guys. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's checked us out, who's joined the chat today, who's come and joined the show. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it. Matt Mask, mate, Won't be the last time. We'll get you on here again soon. Been a pleasure as always, brother. Thank you for giving up your time and for coming on.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure, Neil. So
top stuff, brother, and very best of luck in the prep for the match.